Everyone, I want to welcome everyone out this evening for our Board of Commissioners meeting on Monday, April 18th, 2022. At 5 o'clock, we had a little gathering with the help of the Cooperative Extension. I want to thank them for a nice reception they put on for this board with some stuff to eat and some treats and goodies. So we want to thank them for putting that on this evening for us. And I'm going to go ahead and call the 6 p.m. meeting to order. And the first item on the agenda is the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. And I'll ask if our Vice Chairman, Mr. Beaumont, would lead us this evening.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this glorious evening that you've provided to us. Father, I thank you for the shelter from the weather. Lord, I thank you for this opportunity to gather as a community. Father, as we go about the business of the county government. Lord, I thank you that we live in a country where we have a free press, where we have the ability to transmit our meetings before each and every person in the community, tourists and guests. Father, those that have invested in our county. Lord, I thank you that this board operates in the open. There are so many countries that is not the case. Lord, I pray that you would bless our proceedings this evening. Lord, I pray that you would give us wisdom as we consider the issues at hand. Lord, I pray that you would protect each and every person here, Father, as they travel home, that they would arrive safely. Lord, bless this evening. In Jesus' name I ask.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Beaumont. Okay, the next item is our approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes needed, or can I get a motion for approval?
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, agenda passes. The next item is going to be our public comment section of the meeting. This is a time that we allow citizens to come up before this board and address this board, talk about anything they want, good, bad, anything, and we'll just sit here and listen intently, give them that full 3 minutes. I do not have anybody signed up for the public comment. Is there anyone who showed up late that wishes to speak at public comment that did not get a chance to sign up? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment portion of the meeting, and I'm going to start with our commissioner's report. This evening, I'll start off to my left with Commissioner Jarvis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. On Tuesday, April 5th, I had the honor of attending the 2022 Economic Summit sponsored by the Outer Banks Chamber of Commerce in Kitty Hawk, and it was called 13 Ways Helping Communities Thrive, Learn, and Grow. The featured speaker was Mr. Doug Griffiths. He's the author of the book, 13 Ways to Kill Your Community. I first heard him speak about 3 years ago at the NACO convention, and I was equally impressed with him all over again. He is committed to helping us build a sustainable, stronger community. And I agree with him in that the foundation of strong communities are strong families, strong business, and ultimately, those things lead to a stronger state and a stronger nation. He pointed out, and all of us were nodding in agreement, that two of the biggest problems in communities are complacency, as well as change just for the sake of change. And he says we must constantly adapt to the times and the conditions that are at hand, and we have to weigh our decisions carefully. So with that, I hope that all of my fellow commissioners got a chance to hear him speak, or will at least read his book, which is excellent. We must have a culture and a mindset to adapt to the times, to weigh carefully, and have targeted building for enduring prosperity. So he points out that the people that stand in the way of these, he's got great acronyms, and I invite you to go to page 113 and 114 of his book to see what these mean. He said, you can't let NIMBYs, fears, caves, bananas stand in the way. And I say we have to make these people step aside, and for those like me that want our community to thrive, to boldly step forward and do that. I would also like to say it's great to have Owen back. I'm hopeful that he's on his way to becoming 100%. And finally, I'd like to thank our staff for the 2 days of our budget sessions that were just excellent. Their tireless efforts and attention to detail made those days beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Commissioner Etheridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too enjoy the speaker that we heard. I'd like to say that a big thank you to the corporate extension for the reception tonight. It was very nice. We certainly appreciated it, and it's wonderful to have our full board back. It's nice to see Owen back with us. And I want to remind everybody that primary election day will be May 17th, and one-stop voting starts on April the 28th, and it runs to May the 14th. So make your voices heard, get out and vote. And we do have a new director of elections who was approved today. I think it's her first day as director.
That's right, approved effective today. We received the State Board of Election Executive Director's, formal approval of the position after her nomination was put in place by the County Board of Elections.
And I think she'll lead the county very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Etheridge. Commissioner White.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'll beat the drum and welcome Owen back as well and jump on that one. And the cooperative extension. It's always wonderful to see you guys. This past weekend, I had a chance to speak with the Corolla Homeowners Association. So if any of them are watching, just want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this weekend. And I open myself up for any other HOAs in the past and in the future. So if anyone want to do a meeting, it doesn't have to be in person. It can be virtual, and just kind of talk about the state of Currituck County and what's going on in Corolla in particular. That's usually the bigger interest to them. Following on the voting, early voting, everything we do is in the public spotlight. Paul remarked on that on his invocation this evening. And the public is invited to come to those things, and yet rarely do. These things are extremely important in this county and matter. And so if you can find the time, our budget work session was open to the public. You can come in, see what's on the table, why we make the decisions we do, and how we arrive at those decisions. So many things we do are open to the public. If there's more than 4 of us meeting, it has to be open to the public. They are advertised, and we would love to hear from you, whether it's a call, an email, or coming to the meetings to get the story. So I encourage everyone, as you think about going into the ballot box, to take a moment to call your commissioners that are here, or talk to the candidates. We have some in the audience tonight. And find out what their views are and what they stand for, or maybe why we made a decision we made. So often that may not be apparent. If we've talked about it in a work session, we come out and vote on it. Some of the work is done in the work session to discuss these things and bat them around before we go into a meeting so that we can gather more facts. So just please take the time to show up and get involved. It matters. That's it for me, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner White. I just want to say again, I'll reiterate everyone is welcome Commissioner Etheridge here back, and wish him well on his recovery, and like to see him here every evening now when we have our meetings. And the cooperative extension staff, we have a nice audience of them here this evening, and want to thank you for coming out this evening and spending some time at the reception and the wonderful food again. It was very, very tasty and yummy. I'm going to tell you, it was good. Appreciate that very much. A couple things, or just one other thing real quick, is Currituck Kids, recently, the board of directors, we all sat down and reviewed a bunch of applications for some seniors we offer 2 scholarships. And what we look for is we look for a senior that is involved in the community, involved with the youth in our community, and because that's what Currituck Kids is all about. So we go through them and we see who's applied, and we recently, and I just want to recognize them, we chose 2 of them. We have one that's the Marion Gilbert Award. You know, she was a past commissioner and a Currituck Kids board director, and she passed away a few years ago, and we started a scholarship in honor of her name. And the recipient of that scholarship was Trinity Pittman. She's a senior this year, and we just want to congratulate her for winning that scholarship. And the second one was with Deborah Rohrer. She was the founder, treasurer with Currituck Kids, and she passed away due to cancer, and we started the first one with her. And that recipient was Danielle Walker, and we just wanted to thank all the everybody who applied for this. We wanted to congratulate these two seniors this year for what they did for our community and receiving those awards. And lastly, fire departments, I'm always going to say this. I mean, we've still having terrible wrecks on our highways, and season's coming up, and road they're repaving the south end of the county. Be careful out there. Traffic was terrible this weekend. I was on the roads, and it was pretty heavy. Support your fire departments. We had a fish fry last Friday. I want to thank everybody who came out to support Lower Currituck Fish Fry. It was a great turnout, good fundraiser to help the local fire department. And anything you can do to get out there, support, and help them, they would really appreciate that. So all your first responders and dispatchers, they do a lot for the community. I just wanted to thank them. And that's all I have this evening. Vice Chairman Beaumont.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To kind of tag team on everyone, Owen, it's good to see you back.
Thank you.
Cooperative Extension, you outdid yourself. And then some. But I'm going to kind of pick up with something Commissioner White said. It is not uncommon for government in general to be accused of doing things behind closed backs, and our pockets are all getting greased. And as someone who's served this county for a long time, first on the Board of Adjustments, then with the FIAB, then as a commissioner, I don't know any of us do this because of the money that we're compensated in performing this function. We do it out of a sense of service for this county. And the public sees 2 meetings a month here, but that's also, there's an additional 2 advisory board meetings a month, and probably at least another 2 meetings that occur during the month, and that's everything from budget to strategy sessions to joint meetings with the Board of Education. This board works very hard to try and represent the best interests of the county. There's ways that you can get involved in Currituck County. We have advisory boards that anyone out here can apply, and for those roles and those openings as they become open. We've started our Citizens Academy back up, where you can learn how the county runs. And we welcome engagement, and we welcome people in the community getting involved. It's a little more, though, than sitting behind your keyboard on Facebook and using that as your resource material for how you address the county's issues and the challenges that this board has to work through on a every other week basis. I'm going to use the budget meetings. I don't know how many people from the community totally came, but it was not that many. Our small area plans, our use plans, the community participation is not that significant. There's a bunch of people here in the audience tonight, but most of those are cooperative extension members. There's maybe another 6 or 8 people here. We welcome insight, and I'll use the showers at the walkways in Whalehead as an example. We've advertised it, we discussed it, we've brought it up, it's been voted on, and yet people, and I get it, right? They may not have heard about it, but I'll throw this out to the community. You can come up with a better way for us to get the news to each and every person. We're open to anything, right? We have an individual who's dedicated to getting the word out. But to sit there and say that we've not let you know, or this is the first you heard about it, I'm not sure what more we as a county can do to try and make sure that you're aware of all the issues that we're dealing with and that we're discussing, because we do it day in and day out. And if you have a question, every one of us has a telephone number that's on the county's website. If you don't pick up the phone and call your commissioner and say, hey, can you explain to me why, then I really am frustrated that you can mouth off and have an opinion or vent on Facebook over what we did and why we did it. So I would encourage you, there's not a commissioner up here that has a bent bone in their body for a motive behind what we're doing. And every single one of us vote the way we vote for a reason. If you don't like the reason, pick up the phone, send us an email. Why did you vote the way you voted? We've got nothing to hide, and we would absolutely love to share our reasoning behind you, especially if you're considering who you're going to vote for, during elections. Quiz the candidates. If you don't like the way somebody up here is voting, ask them why they did it. Maybe there's more to the story than what Facebook said. Okay, I'm getting off the soapbox now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Beaumont. Commissioner McCord.
I'd like to welcome Owen back. I missed being able to make my cracks at him, so I did send a couple texts to him just to keep him on his toes. But welcome back. I'm glad he's doing better. Cooperative Extension, awesome as usual. Like I said, they were the driving force with the Christmas parade. Anything they touch and do is always first class. So we didn't expect nothing but that. Last week was Telecommunicator Week. Our dispatch, and I'll say this, and granted, as a law enforcement officer, I've never worked at another agency, but we have the best telecommunicators in the state, the United States. Those ladies and guys do a phenomenal job. They're awesome. So kudos to them. They are the official first responders. When that phone rings for that wreck, that domestic, that bad experience, they are the first ones shooting people to this direction and that. So I appreciate what they do. Bulls and Barbecue. I attended the event on the 9th of April at our rural park on the south end. What an event. It was awesome. I mean, it was so well organized. Tamron and her staff, Samantha Payne, Chris Hooper, all those guys, they did, the place was packed. I mean, the food, everything flowed. There was no issue. It was just an awesome event. People enjoyed being outside. It wasn't the warmest. It was like 58 degrees and a little breezy, but it was nice. They did an awesome job. I got Tamron to send me everybody's names, but I'm not going to roll through all 20 of them. But I know Samantha Payne was the coordinator, the main one in charge of that. She did a really, really good job. And Chris Hooper, I guess, is her assistant. Those two and the 18 other people, as well as the CCHS, ROTC. The trash can would get full. Somebody was dumping it. I mean, they were just like a factory. It was a great event. I will sign up to work that any day for the Sheriff's Department. It was a really good time. Couple other things. Bike weeks this week. So hence this weekend, you probably saw a lot of motorcycles on the road. Last weekend, we had a ride for Barry Nelms does for Navy SEALs, and then they end up at his place. That was a good event. The car show, Bo Davenport, it was the biggest one that we've ever had in the county. He did an awesome job. They end up at Digger's Dungeon. It was the most they've ever had, and all kinds of really unique stuff that came with that. Next Monday, the 25th, we have a DWI mock crime scene / distracted driver at the high school. I don't know if you rode by there today. You saw 2 beater cars. Mm-hmm. Lance's tone was not dropping off like somebody not paid their tow bill. But there was 2 cars dropped off front for that. They set up. We have big officials from Raleigh coming from the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program. I believe the director and the assistant director are coming for that. So our SRO, Deputy Large, as well as some of the other officials in the county from the EMS, from emergency management, all that have put in. They've had numerous meetings for that. So like I said, if you can stop by and see that, it's a really, really good thing. And I know the county this year, we have Mike Martini. I always forget his business, but Digital Eye Candy or something, I believe. They're doing like a aerial of it, so that'll be pretty awesome as well. Congrats to Brandy Draves for her promotion to the election. Brandy's a very good person, and I think she'll do an awesome job. Last week we had a passing of one of our previous county employees. I'd like to recognize her. She had a lot of medical issues and ended up having to leave early, but Juliet Tillett, she passed away. She worked in our jail for probably about 10 years and worked in the court. Super, always smiling, just a good person, and I'm sorry for her family and for their loss. Not that this one was here in the county, but I went to school with him, and he's a Currituck boy. Prayers for the Dean family of the passing of their daughter. Tragic situation there. And also to the Macy family, to their son, young young male passed away last weekend. So I think that pretty much hit everything. Prayers for those families, and a lot of events coming up still the rest of the month. The Mud Bog, Dennis Anderson's next Saturday. So when you ride through the Coin Jock to Poplar Branch area, slow down because there'll be lots of trucks and big trucks and loud noise and fun times. I'll be at that event for the Sheriff's Department, myself and Lieutenant Smith. And then they have another car show at New Life Church right there by the high school in the 4100 block. That's on the 30th on Saturday. And they've done that one before. I believe that's a pretty big event as well. I think I hit it all. And welcome back, Owen. You're
Kevin,
next.
I got a question for
Yeah,
you.
go ahead.
You hit on something. Do you know if the Sheriff's Department will end up doing their kids programs this summer again? Is that-
I did mention, I think I might have said it we are having the summer camps this year. Due to staff shortages, we had to scale them back. The SROs typically, and they hate it that we're short deputies because like they usually, instead of having to work the road, they get to do camps and they go and do fun stuff. And they do great stuff and mentor the youth. This summer we have I think they usually have 6 to 8 weeks. This summer we are still, the sheriff didn't want to discontinue it due to us being short some guys. So, because they have to help out with the road. So we're having 2 weeks. It's on the county website. I do know that it's been posted on the county website of those 2 weeks.
Kevin will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner McCourt. And finally here, get to say this, is Commissioner Owen Etheridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Believe me when I say it is good to be back. I'm very blessed that I was not injured any worse than I was. I've got to say thank you to the Currituck EMS Mayotte squad who escorted me to the hospital that morning, and you can't ask for a finer group of folks than what our EMS and public safety people are. Thank you to the Cooperative Extension. Even though it's been years, they're still the agricultural extension service to me. That's what I grew up with, and they'll always be that. But, we look around us, we see on the news all the turmoil and crime that's going on in our country, and we stop and reflect, and I've had time to reflect over the last few weeks. What a great place we live in Currituck County. I mean, we are blessed. We have excellent public safety services, like I said, EMS, law enforcement, our volunteer fire departments. We have a good school system. Yeah, we have issues like anybody else. We're not perfect. And as Bob and Paul talked about tonight, decisions that we make here on this board are not made in a vacuum. They're made in the public where people can see them. And, there's an old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And we do everything we can to put out information about the decisions that we are facing, decisions we make, and the public should take advantage of the opportunities that we provide for public disclosure. As someone has been on this board quite a while, I can tell you that we've always practiced full disclosure. Sunshine is a great thing, and that's what we want in our government. We want people to understand and to know why we do things. And I will say one more time, thank you to everyone for the cards and letters and the prayers that I've received over the last few weeks. It will always be remembered and appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Etheridge. And the next item is our county manager / attorney's report.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to give an update on the Citizens Academy that's been mentioned by some of you tonight. It began April 7th, a class of about 15 or 16 citizens in the inaugural class of the Citizens Academy. The first evening was me presenting to them background information about county government in general in North Carolina, and then we got specifically into Currituck County and how we operate. And then Sandra Hill presented the financial and budgetary aspects of county government. part of what I talked about is what you've also, some of you have mentioned tonight, was the transparency that is a requirement of local government in North Carolina, the Open Meetings Law, the Public Records Act. And we talked about how we must disclose any and all records unless there's a limited exception to why a document must not be presented to a citizen upon request. And likewise with open meetings, that our meetings are publicly advertised and the public's allowed to attend meetings except again in limited circumstances when there's an allowance for closed sessions. Last week, there was round 2 of Citizens Academy. It was a planning department. I'm told that it was a very excellent presentation by the planning staff, and also great interest and a lot of good questions coming from the Citizen Academy members. Their meetings usually are to last an hour and a half, or I guess an hour and a half. We went 2 hours the first night, I guess, when I was with them without a break, and I think the planning staff broke that record and went, what, two and a half hours? Without a break. They didn't even want a break. They're so engaged and interested in what we're talking about. And one of the other things that I challenge them about is some of what you've alluded to tonight as well. Get involved. Why no one gets involved and active and comes, among other things, to these Board of Commissioner meetings to learn what their county government is doing. I said, for example, last year during the budget hearing, there was not a single citizen present as this Board of Commissioners considered, and I'm just talking about the general fund dollars, a $67 to $68 million budget expenditure of their tax dollars. And I said, none of you showed up. None of your fellow citizens showed up. And you may explain that as being, well, it's a pandemic. But how many years prior to a pandemic have we had budget hearings and not a single citizen has shown up or spoken? And so I said to them, what then do you expect your county officials to do, having not heard from you? Now, some want to use the excuse, well, we've been told it doesn't matter what we say. And I said to them, well, that's a cop-out. Because how are they going to know what you want unless you say what it is that you want? Otherwise, they're to think what they're doing is the correct and right path. So do them a favor and give them some guidance. And so that hopefully through our Citizens Academy, that's the type of discussion we're going to have at this small group, and hopefully that can ripple out to a larger group. They're going to continue with their weekly meetings until June 6th. The last night is going to be, I think, an exciting event that some of you have experienced with what's called the budget game. We've done that before at a county commissioners conference, but we're going to have a team come in from the School of Government, and they're going to put on the budget game where the Citizen Academy members will be separated into probably 3 teams, I would guess, of 5 people. And then they are county commissioners of an imaginary county government and given the task of putting together a budget, also with pressure, because they'll be thrown variables throughout the game that they're going to have to then address and decide, oh, well, we thought we had a balanced budget. Now what do? We raise taxes, raise fees, we cut something. What do we cut? And on top of that, they have someone with a television camera with a light on it and another person running around as a reporter with a microphone who are shoving it in the face of these imaginary commissioners asking, well, why? Well, your courthouse burned down. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to raise taxes, or are you going to move to a new location? And so they have to, on the spot, try to explain the rationale for a decision they're going to make in the game. So it's probably something worthwhile for maybe you all to show up to kind of sit back
Does the losing
Can we have access to Facebook and post it?
Yeah,
up?
right.
Hey, do the losing 2 teams, if they're in 2 teams of 3, they get a tax increase, and then the other winning team gets a break that year?
So they're going to get to feel in a small way the type of pressure and decision making that you have to in reality make. So the Citizen Academy is a great thing. It's great that we have finally done it. I'm sure we're going to continue to do it and maybe even figure out maybe can staff put on two times a year a Citizen Academy. But in any event, we're underway with number 1 and look forward to the successful completion of this one. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, you may. Yes, you may.
I'm looking under the School of Government, and it says The conduct of local government officials and public employees affects public perception of the trust in government. Citizens expect local officials and public employees to act in the best interest of the public and not to use their office for their personal benefit. And I read on Facebook, I know that a lot of people think that there's things going on behind the door. I serve on the ABC board, and before every meeting, they ask if anybody has a conflict of interest with things that are being discussed. Is that something that might make people have better trust in our government if before decision-making, certain things that we disclose, if we have any dealings with the person, or I think the perception sometimes is if somebody knows that this one works with them or has some conduct, I don't know if that's something that might make people have better trust in us as board members.
Well, we certainly encourage in legislative and especially quasi-judicial matters, use permits, that if you have a conflict that is prohibited by law, or might be, that potential conflict be raised, and then a determination made as to whether recusal would be appropriate in that particular instance. But we also have to understand that, as I've said many times, the general law is that a county commissioner is required to vote on all matters coming before the Board of Commissioners unless it deals specifically and directly with a commissioner's financial interest or it's an issue related to a question of their character, in which they then may recuse themselves, not required to. But there are additional statutory provisions that have been enacted over the last few years that say a commissioner shall recuse themselves if, for example, in a legislative or quasi-judicial zoning matter, you have a financial interest, you have a relationship with an individual who may be an applicant appearing in that matter. You may yourself benefit or gain from a decision that you might make. So while it may not hurt to say that up front, I mean, we already have to be cognizant and aware and have to make that announcement in any event in a number of instances that issues come before this board.
What type of relationship? You hit on something there, because I've remarked on this several times in Commissioner comment. You know, Mike has recused himself many times. I've
Times, yeah.
recused myself with anything to do, obviously, with horse tours. But it's also understood that we're business people, generally speaking, that serve on this board and conduct business with people within this county. So he may, and you recused yourself very recently for having a
zoning.
business relationship with the customer. So, but you hit on relationship, and it just, you know, maybe if you could expound on that for a minute. What?
Well, the statute's talking about a familial relationship and defines what that means. That means if the person coming before the board and you're asked to decide a question that involves, and this is pretty apparent, a parent, a child, a spouse, those type of persons, a business relationship. I think it's more, well, it's, if you're engaging in business with someone who has a matter before the board, then you properly would ask to be recused depending on what the matter is. But like in a zoning legislative matter that the chairman recused himself from considering, that statute now says the commissioner shall.
Right.
So it's a mandatory recusal. Generally, the times that some board members have raised the question of whether they should be recused or not, it may not be so clear as to be a particular financial concern or a character concern, but the board has allowed for that commissioner believing that there is some potential conflict to be excused from voting and participating in that matter. Under that particular statute, the board would not have to necessarily vote to excuse the commissioner from considering, but the commissioner would be protected in any event from any claim of wrongdoing because, again, the general rule is you are required to vote on matters that come before you unless it meets those two exceptions in a general way.
That's what we've had to do in the past before. Ask legal counsel of the county attorney yourself, hey, do I have to recuse myself? Do I have to vote? Whatever. And at the end of the day, a keyboard warrior will always be a keyboard warrior. You have to remember that.
And then
They're going to
the-
type their stuff, and and they're entitled to that. I mean, that's another good thing of the great country that we live in. You can say whatever you want to say, and
And then there's
It is what
another
it is.
exception that, and we talked about this some in Citizens Academy, they want to know about, commissioners doing business with the county. Well, there is an allowance for that in the general statutes, that for a county such as ours, with a population of less, with a county with a city that does not have a population greater than 15,000 people, then a county commissioner may, under certain circumstances, do business with the county they serve. Well, we don't have any cities at all, so that provision applies to Currituck County and allows for, and has allowed for Commissioner McCord and for the chairman in the past, to utilize in that statutory procedure to have a resolution adopted without their participation in voting on the resolution, authorizing a contract to do business with the county for less than $40,000, no more than $40,000 per year, which has to be posted quarterly, the amount the county has spent under that authorizing resolution with that commissioner. So again, it's disclosure and full accountability to the public if that exception has been utilized.
in 2013, for keyboard warriors at home, 2013 was the last year that my company did landscaping work for the county. I just quit doing it just because, even though there was a dollar amount, there was some smart tale on the social media, but 2013, so my checkbook statements are open as well as my QuickBooks if you ever want to look at them.
And then that's true. That's one of the, well, I was going to say, that's one of the, that you just mentioned. I knew when I first ran for commissioner that I would be giving up that opportunity with the county to be the commissioner, which was fine, the decision I decided to make, which, yes, Ms. Etheridge, you were going
I
to make
was
a
just going to say, the perception and the trust in government, if we have a relationship or somebody's coming before us, the public should be aware of it. That does not necessarily mean I could not vote on it.
Right, and it doesn't hurt to, if you feel so inclined to say, I know so-and-so that has this application or matter before the board. We have a social relationship, but however, in any event, that relationship will not cause me to provide them or make a decision except that which is in the best interest of the county. There's even more so with a quasi-judicial matter where if a conflict issue is raised, you could still participate in that quasi-judicial matter and making findings of fact if you can truly say that despite that, my knowledge about a particular piece of the subject matter, I can render a fair and impartial decision based solely upon the evidence that's presented to the board during the course of this hearing. And that is sufficient to allow for that commissioner to proceed forward with participating in that matter.
We were talking about perception and trust in government, and I think sometimes if the more we get out information to the public, the more trust they have in government.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Etheridge. Okay, the next item is our administrative reports, and the first item on item A is our Currituck Cooperative Extension's report to the people, and I believe we have our director, Cameron Logan, presenting tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So good evening. As he said, my name is Cameron Lowe. I'm your County Extension Director here in Currituck County. And before I jump into our report, I would like to review for you all and the folks watching at home through the miracle of modern technology exactly what Extension is and how our relationship with county government works. So I won't bore you with the legislative history, but essentially Cooperative Extension dates all the way back to 1914 nationwide, and our purpose is basically to ensure that everyone has access to non-formal, research-based education that improves agriculture, our environment, human health and well-being, youth, and communities. So that's why we're here. And here in Currituck, you guys have leveraged the resource that is Cooperative Extension to fill gaps and address needs in this county for over the past 100 years. And it is our privilege and it is our honor to serve in that capacity. Over our history here in Currituck, Extension has been involved with everything from helping bring electricity to Currituck County, to helping launch farmers cooperatives, to help establish the school lunch program, to providing recreational opportunities for youth, to coordinating planning and emergency management functions, to today administering the Seniors Health Insurance Information Program, administering the Community Service and Restitution arm of our Juvenile Crime Prevention Council programs, helping coordinate county employee health and wellness program activities, overseeing the Backpacks for Kids weekend feeding program, enacting and overseeing the Master Gardener program, and facilitating the development of various countywide strategic plans, just to name a few things. So again, our core function is to improve our community in all those ways that I mentioned before. We're here to serve our county's needs, we're here to serve your needs, and we serve at your discretion. And I'm glad you mentioned advisory boards, because each year we plan our program activities for the year utilizing a 16-member board of Currituck County residents that helps us determine local needs and where they intersect with county government priorities and the research and resources available at our land-grant universities, NC State University and NC A&T State Universities. And I do have a couple of advisors here in the room tonight, so I just want to recognize them. Commissioner Etheridge is our commissioner that serves on our local advisory board right now, and Ashton Lowe is actually here. And I do have a little bit of sway for getting her to things, just a little bit, but I will say that I'm very proud of her. She takes her own initiative and serves on the things that I ask her to do very willingly. So she represents the 4-H and youth development voice on our advisory board. So thank you both for your service with our organization. We also have plenty of staff here that enact the plans that our advisors lay forth for us. And tonight in attendance, I want to recognize our staff that's present. We have our agriculture agent, Adam Fermella. Give us a wave. Thank you. We have Chris Blaha, our agriculture technician. Stephanie Minton, one of our 4-H program assistants. Sherry Fischelschweiger, our 4-H agent. Billy Caudle is our 4-H program assistant and community service and restitution coordinator. Tom Harrell is our 4-H program assistant and CCRC director. John Fitchett, CCRC center manager. Olivia Patchell, family and consumer sciences agent. Sheila Gregory, family and consumer sciences program assistant. Sherry Lynn, our administrative coordinator. And Ella Skinner, our building technician. Did I miss anyone? Excellent. All right, fantastic. Cindy Knutson, our new area small farms agent that has been brought to us through NC A&T State University, sends her regrets that she was unable to attend tonight. And Lydia Turner, our CCRC park attendant, is taking a much-deserved vacation this week. And I just have to say that I am beyond blessed and completely undeserving to work with this amazing group of people. They're passionate about helping people, and it shows in the results that they produce and in the testimonials that our clients share on their behalf. And at North Carolina Cooperative Extension here in Currituck, we embrace our clientele as a critical part of our organization. They're integral to our mission to improve this community. Without our clientele, we couldn't complete our mission. So instead of me talking about all the wonderful things that we did in 2021, we have organized a brief video in which our clients tell their own stories about how they are part of Currituck Extension. So I'll ask Deb to cue that video up.
Hi, my name is Sidney Patrick Doyle Garrett. I'm a farmer from Currituck County, Moyock Township. My family operates a family farm that is also a century farm. We have a great relationship with the NC Cooperative Extension. Farmers, along with Extension, do corn, soybeans, wheat variety trials and yield contests. The information provides a valuable tool in variety selection for the next crop years, hopefully increasing yields and profits. Farmers rely on the NC Cooperative Extension to answer all of their questions on insects, pesticides, herbicides, variety selections, and any and all other questions pertaining to ag. A county agent's job is not to know all the answers, but to be able to source that information. We thank them for their service. I am Sidney P. Garrett, and I am Currituck Extension.
In addition to helping individual farmers like Mr. Garrett, the agriculture staff was able to recertify 25 private pesticide applicators and offer continuing education courses to 307 individuals. We continue to hold field days, variety trials, and perform on-site field visits for both farmers and homeowners with a wide variety of problems. In October, we held our inaugural Currituck Farm Festival to show appreciation for our local farmers and to educate the community on agriculture. In our inaugural event, we had over 500 individuals attend. And while our Master Gardener program had to relearn how it did business during these new times, they were able to update the greenhouse and make renovations to both the greenhouse and the demonstration sites to provide continuing education for homeowners and folks in the community. The agricultural staff looks forward to helping you in your farm, your field, in your lawn, or in your garden.
Well, my name is Sarah Joannou, and I'm a resident of Currituck County. And in 2020, my husband was hospitalized and subsequently went on disability. And then we were 65 and had a lot of questions about Medicare, what to choose, and every day in the mailbox we would get 2 or 3 letters from different companies from around the country. You need this insurance, you need Medicare supplement, you need Medicare gap. And it was overwhelming. And coupled with our disability situation, we really didn't know what to do. And a neighbor, and I can't even remember who, mentioned that the Cooperative Extension Service had someone who could help. So I had no clue that you guys even did that. So I called and they said yes. Sheila Gregory was the SHIP coordinator.
That's right.
And put me through to her, and I spoke to her and told her our story. And she said, why don't you and your husband come in and let's see what we can do. So we came in a couple of days later and it was phenomenal. Just, she had lists of all the different types of Medicare supplements, A, B, C, D. I mean, it's unbelievable, the choices and really what we needed to meet our needs. It's amazing just how much she saved us now that we're in a retirement position.
Right. Yeah.
So she really helped us walk through that entire process, and I am just so grateful. Hi, my name is Sarah Joannou, and I am part of the Currituck Cooperative Extension Service.
To further expand upon our Medicare education program, also known as SHIP, or the Senior Health Insurance Information Program, we served over 235 Medicare beneficiaries and saved those beneficiaries a total of $72,000. In addition to this program, the Family and Consumer Science Department also offered. These programs included reducing food waste, increasing physical activity, nutrition, and food safety. We were able to seamlessly transition from our virtual classes to in-person classes at the conclusion of 2021. When the senior centers as well as the other congregate nutrition sites opened up, we were able to continue our programming efforts with them and worked on how to reduce food costs and still maintain a healthy diet. The Family and Consumer Science Department looks forward to increasing our in-person programming in 2022 and hopefully making some bigger impacts in nutrition and food safety.
My name is Hannah Meads, and I am a volunteer 4-H club leader. To me, 4-H means friendship. Friendship started when I was in 4-H as a young child. You make lifelong friends. And now I've moved on to my daughter being in 4-H, and she has lifelong friends. To me, 4-H means friendship. My name is Hannah Meads, and I'm a part of Currituck Extension.
Hannah is an outstanding example of the lasting impacts that 4-H has for Currituck youth. She not only gained and created lasting relationships, she was able to identify the hobbies and interests and passions that she would carry into adulthood with her. And she is now sharing those hobbies, interests, skills, and experiences with a whole new generation of Currituck County youth. And it's this that generated the hard work that we put into getting Currituck County 4-H back to some degree of normalcy in 2021. Face-to-face 4-H programming restrictions were lifted in March. Happily, we were able to get back and start planning for 4-H programs for the summer, but it was so late in the year that it severely hampered our ability to conduct traditional 4-H summer camps and programs. So our 4-H staff rose to the challenge. We offered a wide variety of short, mini day camps for the Currituck youth to still be able to participate in 4-H programming. We were able to reach 114 youth, 38 of whom were new to 4-H, with these programs. And despite the online world that we had to live in, we still had Currituck 4-Hers who presented at the state, national, and regional levels, and we had Currituck County youth who were able to qualify for the North Carolina shooting sports team and then participate in the national 4-H shooting sports tournament this past summer. We look forward to continuing with these mini camps and moving back to our traditional 4-H camps and providing these same opportunities for Currituck youth in 2022.
Get that under control, and I'll wrap up my comments, and we'll let you guys move on with your meeting. But I do want to thank you guys for the investment that you make in cooperative extension here in Currituck County. And before I give you an opportunity to ask questions, I have to tell you about two big things that are coming. Number one, we are in need, desperate need, and I'm talking to all the people out there in the Ethernet as well. Desperate need for volunteers for a big event that we have coming up on June 17th. On June 17th, the Northeast District 4-H Presentation Contest will be held right here in Currituck County at Currituck County Middle School. We will be hosting somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 folks coming from as far west as Raleigh to down in Beaufort, Hyde, Terrell, Washington, all those counties in that northeast corner of the state. And we'll need quite a bit of help to provide some good old Currituck hospitality and ensure a successful contest for all those youth that are coming to showcase their presentation and public speaking skills. So if you are available on June 17th, please get in contact with us. We have a job for you. And secondly, we want to remind you to save the date for our second annual Currituck Farm Festival, which will be held on October 1st on the grounds of the Currituck County Extension Center. So we look forward to celebrating the contributions of agriculture to Currituck County on that day, and we hope you'll be able to join us at that time. And now we'd be happy to entertain any questions or comments you might have.
Well, I'd just like to start off, Cameron, with just thanking your staff, because, I mean, I know I speak on behalf of the board a lot, that we've heard nothing but accolades, good things, the great success. Our community, I don't think, understands the value and the resources they have at the Extension Center. We're lucky to have this staff and what you do for us in our community. I just want to thank you, and again, the staff for everything up there. So just thank you for that. So
I'm a little biased, but I have to agree with you. We have the best extension staff in the state of North Carolina, hands down.
Yep.
Hands down.
I think a lot of people don't realize the services you have. I know as an individual, my husband's had his pesticide license. My grandkids have attended some of your programs. When you work with people who are getting ready to go on Medicare, that is just unbelievable. So there's a lot of services that people don't take advantage of. And every time we work with anybody in your office, we've just been very well pleased. You do a great job, all of y'all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to say the same thing, too. They're awesome. Poor Sheila Gregory. She's sitting back there in the middle. She has to deal with my dad when he comes in for his taxes. If he's watching, I'm sorry, Dad, but you're a difficult person at times. And my sister would agree, so we could say that. But, and Adam, I need to call you too to check on my pesticide license. I wrote that down, called to check my hours. I know, Owen, of those 307, 2 of your commissioners I know have their pesticide license sitting right beside each other. So, but they do. Like, I always hear good things. I mean, the only time that I ever worry about dealing with y'all is if we have an event and like we have to use the building for something to make sure we didn't put the chairs back properly or whatever. That's the only time I worry.
Hey, we take seriously
They do.
our charge to take care of county resources, so we're just
They
trying
do.
to
They
make sure
really
we
do.
don't-
I tell you, it's my favorite story at all was the one when we got the email and they said, y'all didn't lock the back door. I said, well, we haven't used the facility yet. We haven't been there. And they said, well, you left the back door unlocked. We hadn't even been there yet. But no, but they do. I mean, they take pride in the county, which, like I said, across the board, never a bad experience ever. I mean, you guys are top notch. So keep up the good work. It's appreciated. And the programs that they do in the county for the youth as well. It's just kudos.
At our joint meeting with the Board of Education, the staff coming out of setting up the hives, the beehives was coming out. And that's exciting to see too, because, and many people may not know this, but number one, it's a federal offense to kill a beehive, a honeybee hive. So heads up on that. But bees have been on the decline for years and years and years, and getting my son has completely offset Currituck County's bee loss with, I think he's running 12 hives right now. So he only got stung 10 times this weekend. But it's good to see, because that is a great hobby that people can get into. Exciting to see. But to you and your staff, good work.
And I just want to say it's exciting that your classes are back. I know that was one thing I was really looking forward to for my retirement. Then the pandemic hit, and so I've taken cooking classes with Olivia. I've taken your tree pruning class before all of that shut down, and I look forward to those. And I think the community feels the same way. It's an exciting time, and hopefully people will take advantage of all that you offer, and we really appreciate all that you do.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask one quick? How many seniors? I know, now let's not say last year and the year before because of COVID, but typically on the average, how many seniors do y'all assist do taxes for? I know the number's just astronomical.
So we don't assist with taxes. We assist with Medicare Part D coverage. So when
That's for the senior centers, the taxes, you're right.
Senior Center does the taxes, but we do the Medicare program, and we average 250 to 300 almost every single year. Every single year. So there's an open enrollment window from October to December. Am I right, Sheila? Open enrollment window from October to December, but people are turning 65 every single day. So Sheila is pretty much year-round counseling folks on where to go, what to do. Turn off the TV commercials and call Sheila is the best thing I can tell you if you are approaching the age of 65. So.
No Joe Namath?
No Joe. No.
Or Dynamite Boy.
You know, when I first came on this board, it's hard to imagine that all the extension services were conducted down there in that kitchen.
Right there in that kitchen. That's right.
And over the period of time that I've been involved, we built a new center. We acquired the Rural Center for our youth, and I'm very proud of the investment that Currituck County has made in extension. And I think with the way things are going in our country right now, the demand for the services that you can provide, you will see a tremendous increase in requests this year. And, you know, I go back and I remember when Miss Elizabeth Sanderlin was the extension agent and all the things that she did to bring this county up by the bootstraps. And we thank you for everything that y'all do.
Absolutely, thank you. Kevin jokes, but we really do take our responsibility to
do.
take care of those resuresources seriously.
They do.
So
And like I said, Owen, Commissioner Etheridge, I'm glad he's back. He met with Sheila many, many years ago for his Medicare stuff. I'm just kidding, Owen, I couldn't resist.
I tell you, I get no respect.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you again, Cameron. Appreciate everything.
Indeed, thank you.
Thank you.
We can clean up our reception.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, because then the county.
Leave the cookies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. We'll just give them one quick second here to, there's a lot of staff here. Okay, moving along under new business. Item A, grant project ordinance for the County of Currituck, American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. I believe our county manager will address that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, also known as ARPA, cities and counties across the country have been receiving federal funds under that plan to help remediate the effects of the pandemic on local government budgets. Currituck County will be receiving $5,392,637 under that program. This money, however, comes with the requirement that when it is utilized for a project, as authorized by the federal act, it comes with the federal procurement guidelines, which are rather restrictive. And so now that a rule has come out of the federal government that allows for units of government that receive less than $10 million in these proceeds, as is the case with Currituck County, to be able to identify upfront a particular use of the funds that then, in essence, relieves further use of those funds from the federal procurement guidelines and gives the county more flexibility to utilize those monies to its benefit. In this instance, Currituck County is recognizing, and in essence, I guess, replacing the costs that we expended for public safety workers during the pandemic. And so what is required of the county is then to adopt this ordinance, a grant ordinance, that will identify these funds and essentially restrict them for that purpose. But once that occurs, then again, it will free up this money from the federal procurement requirements for us to go forward with utilization of these monies. That does not mean that it frees the county up from the procurement requirements and guidelines under the North Carolina bidding statutes or the county's own procurement policies. We would still, of course, have to follow those. As the board knows, we've identified the use of these funds ultimately set aside and identifying them for the Moyock wastewater sewer project, and what portion of that the county might need to use should a public-private partnership be deemed suitable and feasible to go forward with the reconstruction of that project. And also, we are identifying this perhaps as a way to pay for a necessary cost for our telecommunications system once the central communications moves to the new public safety building. It's going to be necessary for the county to run a fiber optic line from the current central communications here on the campus of the historic courthouse back to Maple, where it's connected at the former sheriff's department, and then runs, I believe it's under the runway, actually, over to the public safety building to have connectivity between those two facilities. So that's what we've identified for our funds at this point. So again, this ordinance is before you, is required by the law in order for it to us to be relieved from the federal procurement requirements. There will have to be reporting from the finance officer to the federal government. And this also will become part of our audit process, so our auditors will also be monitoring how we have used this money to ensure that it's been used in compliance with the requirements of the Act. So the county staff would recommend the adoption of this ordinance to you.
I move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, the next item is item B, is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners in support of a nursing and allied health simulation facility at the College of the Arborn. I believe County Manager has this as well.
Well, as stated in the title and as presented to you by Dr. Jack Bagwell from the president of College of the Albemarle when he recently appeared before you, The college is requesting the counties that it serves to adopt a resolution that supports its efforts to bring to fruition a nursing and allied health simulation facility at its Elizabeth City campus. Staff certainly would recommend that the board adopt this resolution.
And I would like to say and remind anyone who's listening and this board that despite the limitations of our current programs at COA on the Elizabeth City campus, COA was named the #1 nursing school in North Carolina. Not the #1 nursing school at a community college, but the #1 nursing school in North Carolina. And I can only imagine and get excited about the incredible things COA will be able to do if this facility comes to fruition. So I'm going to move that we please adopt this resolution tonight.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Selena, how many years has COA's nursing school been recognized as the #1 nursing school in the state?
I don't know about how many years it's been #1, but since I've come on this board in 2019, we have routinely been on the top 6 in the nation by one group, and the last 2 years #1. So I can speak to what I know about being on the board and the accolades we've received in the last 3 years, but it is a top-notch program, and I would put it up against any nursing school in the country.
Yep. All right, any other comments, questions?
I would agree, like what she said, that the numbers don't lie. It's #1 for a reason, and they've continued for years. It's been, if it wasn't #1, it was in the top of the tops.
Been that way for 30 years.
Thank you for letting me know that.
All right, so we got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Our next item, item C, is consideration of the Corolla Fire Department request to transfer funds to capital for the purchase of a Hurst hydraulics cutter rescue tool. Mike McCree, I believe you have that one as well.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Corolla Volunteer Fire Department has requested a transfer of $7,300 in its county allocated funds into their capital outlay in order that they might purchase a Hurst hydraulics cordless waterproof hydraulic cutter rescue tool. This matter was referred to and considered by the Fire and EMS Advisory Board, which recommends its approval, as does staff.
And Mr. Chairman, I would bring to the board's attention that this was a big lot sale. In that the manufacturer evidently overproduced and manufactured these units, that Corolla is going to be able to acquire this at almost half the cost of a typical device like this. So there's an opportunity to get a necessary piece of equipment. The other thing I would bring up is that it is compatible with, I believe, all of the other departments are running the identical equipment. So back to the original premise for the Fire EMS Advisory Board was one of the targets, or one of the, and that's Commissioner Owen's fault, purpose, back in the day when the FIAB was actually formed, was to bring standardization amongst the departments. So not only in techniques and tactics, but also in equipment. So this is yet another step in the right direction of commonality from department to department. So, Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, our next item is board appointments, and we have an Ocean Sands North Crown Point Watershed District Advisory Board individual. Brian Daggett needs to be replaced. So I think we have a consensus nomination here with a Charles Wilson, and if we have no objection from the board. Just that it's,
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve Mr. Charles Winslow to that board.
Okay, I'll second that. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, all opposed, motion carries. Okay, our next item is the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second from Ms. Jarvis. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And at this time, I'll recess from our regular meeting and make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to GS 143-318.11A6 to discuss personnel matters and GS 143-318.11A3 to preserve the county client privilege.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. We're now in closed session. We'll give a few moments for the audience to clear out.